Welcome back to Learning Canadian English. This is episode 8, and I'm your host, Jen.
And I'm Mike. We are so excited for today's topic. It's one of my absolute favorites.
Mine too. We're diving into the great outdoors to talk all about Canadian wildlife.
That's right. From the tiny chipmunk to the massive moose, Canada is home to some incredible animals. And as you know, Jen, we both love any excuse to get outside, whether it's camping or just visiting a conservation area.
Exactly. So today, we'll talk about some iconic Canadian animals, the best places to see them, and some essential vocabulary for any nature lovers out there.
Let's get started.
Okay, Mike, if you had to pick the most Canadian animal of all, what would it be?
Oh, that's easy. It has to be the beaver. It's our national animal after all.
Of course, the beaver. It's on our 5-cent coin, the nickel. They are fascinating creatures.
They really are. They're known to being industrious, which is a great vocabulary word meaning hard-working. You can see why when you look at the complex dams and lodges they built.
Right. A dam is the wall they build across a river, and a lodge is their home. It's amazing what they can do with just their teeth and paws.
Totally. They literally changed the landscape. Now, what about you, Jen? What's your pick for another iconic Canadian animal?
I have to go with the moose. They are just so majestic and huge.
Majestic is the perfect word, but gangly also comes to mind. Gangly means they look a bit awkward or clumsy, especially with those long legs.
That's true. And the males have those enormous antlers, which they shed and regrow every year. If you ever see one in the wild, it's an unforgettable experience.
It is, but it's important for our listeners to know that you should always keep your distance. Moose are not aggressive, but they are wild animals and can be dangerous if they feel threatened.
That is such a good point. Never try to get close for a photo. So we have the beaver and the moose. What else?
How about an animal that many Canadians have a love-hate relationship with? The Canada goose.
Oh, definitely. They're beautiful birds, but they can be very territorial, especially in the spring when they have their young.
Exactly. Some people jokingly call them cobra chickens because of how they hiss and chase people away.
Cobra chickens. I love that. It's so accurate. Okay, how about a more mysterious, elusive creature, the Canada lynx?
Ooh, good one. You'd be very lucky to see a lynx in the wild. They're like ghosts of the forest.
Exactly. They're beautiful cats known for the tufts of black hair on their ears and their short tail.
And their huge paws. They act like natural snowshoes, which lets them walk on top of deep snow to hunt. It's an amazing adaptation to the Canadian winter.
It really is. Okay, let's end this section with a sound, the call of the loon. It's the sound of the Canadian wilderness.
It really is. And the loon is on our $1 coin, which is why we call it a loonie.
That's a perfect transition, Mike. The best place to hear a loon or see a moose is in one of Canada's many parks.
Right. We have a huge network of national and provincial parks designed to protect these natural spaces.
And for our listeners, it's good to know the difference. National parks are managed by the federal government, the government of all of Canada. Provincial parks are managed by the government of each province, like Ontario or British Columbia.
Exactly. And some are world famous for wildlife viewing. If you think of the Rocky Mountains, you think of Banff and Jasper National Parks in Alberta.
For sure. That's prime bear country. You have a good chance of seeing grizzly bears and black bears there.
Which brings us to another important topic, safety.
Yes, if you're hiking in bear country, you need to be bear aware. That means carrying bear spray, storing your food properly in a food cache or bear-proof container, and making noise as you walk so you don't surprise a bear.
Singing or talking loudly on the trail is actually a good safety measure. It lets the bears know you're coming.
It does. Now, not all parks are in the mountains. Here in Ontario, one of the most famous is Algonquin Provincial Park.
Ah, Algonquin, the classic spot for canoeing and camping. It's one of the best places to spot a moose, especially in the spring. You can often see them right along the highway that runs through the park.
That's right. And if you go canoeing on the lakes, you can paddle quietly and get a really great view. You can also hear wolves howling at night, which is an incredible experience.
It is. And Canada isn't just about big mammals. Some parks are famous for birds.
Right, like Point Pelee National Park in Ontario. It's a hot spot for bird migration in the spring. Bird watchers or birders come from all over the world.
That's a great example. And moving to the East Coast, you have parks like Fundy National Park in New Brunswick.
Oh, with the highest tides in the world?
Exactly. The ecosystem there is completely different. At low tide, you can walk on the ocean floor and see all the small marine creatures. It's a totally different kind of wildlife experience.
That's a great point. The variety across the country is staggering. Let's not forget the coast and all the marine life.
For sure. On the West Coast in British Columbia, you can go whale watching to see orcas, which are also called killer whales, and massive humpback whales.
And the feeling of being on a boat and seeing a whale surface is just undescribable. On the East Coast, in places like Quebec or Newfoundland, you can see species like minke whales and fin whales.
And puffins! Newfoundland is famous for its colonies of these adorable birds.
Yes, seeing a pod or a family group of whales breaching is something you'll never forget. Breaching is when they leap out of the water. It's spectacular.
All this talk about parks makes me want to go camping. It's such a fundamental Canadian pastime.
It really is. And for many people, the camping trip starts before you even get to the park.
You're talking about the mandatory stop at Tim Hortons, aren't you?
Of course, you have to grab a coffee and a box of Timbits for the drive. For our listeners, Tim Hortons is a very popular Canadian coffee and donut chain. Getting a double-double, that's a coffee with 2 creams and 2 sugars, is part of the ritual.
It absolutely is. Now, once you get to the park, there are some practical things to know. In the summer, you often have to deal with biting insects like mosquitoes and black flies. Insect repellent is your best friend.
So true. Also, campsites, especially at popular parks, get booked months in advance. You have to be organized. And sometimes, if the forest is very dry, there might be a fire ban, which means no campfires are allowed.
Right. It's all to prevent forest fires. You have to check the park's rules. Okay, so now let's talk about the different ways people camp.
Good idea. The most common type is front country or car camping. That's where you can drive your car right up to your campsite. It has amenities like washrooms and running water.
Right. It's great for families. But if you're more adventurous, there's backcountry camping.
That's where you have to hike or canoe to your campsite deep in the wilderness. You carry everything you need on your back. It's a lot more work, but the payoff is incredible solitude and beauty.
I'll never forget a backcountry trip I took. In the middle of the night, I heard a sound right outside my tent. My heart was pounding.
Oh my gosh, what was it?
I was too scared to look. But in the morning, I saw raccoon tracks all around my site. He was just looking for snacks.
A classic Canadian camping story, the campsite bandit. This brings us to some key vocabulary. You have your tent and your sleeping bag.
And of course, the campfire. Sitting around the fire at night is the best part.
It is. And you can't have a campfire without making s'mores.
You have to explain s'mores. It's a critical piece of Canadian culture.
Okay, so a s'more is a dessert. You take a marshmallow, roast it over the campfire until it's golden brown and gooey.
Or burnt to a crisp if you're like me.
And then you sandwich it between 2 graham crackers with a piece of chocolate. It melts into this delicious, messy treat. The name comes from some more.
That's the perfect explanation. But with all this fun, we have to mention the most important rule of camping.
Leave no trace.
Exactly. It means you leave your campsite exactly as you found it. You pack out everything you pack in, including all your garbage. It's about respecting the wildlife and the environment.
That feels like a great place to wrap up. We covered a lot today, from industrious beavers to majestic moose and elusive lynx.
We talked about the incredible variety of national and provincial parks and the difference between front country and backcountry camping.
And we learned some great vocabulary: dam, lodge, antlers, bear-aware, breaching, fire ban, and of course, s'mores.
We hope this episode has inspired you to explore the incredible nature that Canada has to offer, or at least to learn more about it.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Learning Canadian English. Join us next time when we'll be talking about Canadian cities and slang.
It's going to be a fun one. Until then, take care.
Bye, everyone.